FM. Catch me on Spotify. Today is Wednesday, and Wednesday is Letters from the Deathgate. Why is this important? Why is it important to discuss? And I am in Ohio, so I will be discussing the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, the ODRC. Why is the ODRC essential in having a conversation about? Well, considering that the prison system is basically about 60 hitting over $60 billion, there are nearly 3.6 million incarcerated, there are 25 million juveniles incarcerated, there are 25 million under supervision. There are 2.5 million incarcerated. There is prison marginalizing, which means that corporations are coming into the prison, Subway, Pizza Hut, McDonald's, inmate funds, streaming. Is it about even correcting the behavior of inmates anymore? If they can sit and they can watch TV, they can do all these things. These people are murderers, thieves. You have taking someone's lives. And for anybody who wants to come in here and it's like, oh, it's people innocent in prison. Yeah, of course, but we're not talking about them. We are talking about rehabilitation of the individuals who are in the prison system. We also know that there is only a 2.5 to 3.2% of the money that is spent to rehabilitate. Rehabilitation, is that really an asset in being in Ohio? Why is it important to me? What do I do? I go within the prison system, throughout any prison system that'll have me, and I renew the minds of inmates. I really go from the standpoint of, okay, this was done, but what are you going to do about it? Because we cannot have you back on the street again. And one day that might happen. And I don't ever want to see the person that I see standing in front of me again. Okay. So the reason that I want to talk today is because this person is a genius, very mind is corrupt. Yes, he is a thief, going around sticking up people and robbing them. Thank God nobody died. No one is dead. Went to prison, did their time, went through the program. The only person who did not successfully complete it went through the program, came out, then robbed a pizza shop. In the process of robbing a pizza shop, went to jail for hella more time. And then in the process of being in the prison, somebody claims, this is a claim, that some more felonious behavior went on and took place. So, why is it important to help these individuals? Because clearly you can see, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers, there is a mental block. There is something that is happening within the brain, the spectrum, the mind, body, and soul, and spiritually, that you just can't get a grasp on how to change your life. So I just want to share a couple clips from how I go about and help individuals on here. And then that'll be it for today, because let me tell you something. People do not know this in Ohio, because who wants to investigate prisons? Right? Who wants to go help people in prisons? Right? But at the end of the day, you have to realize that when you call Victoria's Secrets, you're talking to an inmate. Who's making your glasses? OPI, Ohio Prison Industries. Cleveland Clinic is even networked in with the prisons. We're talking prison labor. You think jobs are being sent to other countries. You keep blaming foreigners and immigrants. I hate to tell you this, but they're in prisons. So many corporations, like I said, Pizza Hut, um, Victoria's Secrets, even Boeing. Okay. And I don't even want to say this, but when I think about Boeing planes falling out the sky and you using inmate labor, and it's so many discrepancies, why are you trying to use cheap inmate prison labor, and we're trying to fly across the skies? I mean, they have no initial training for this. I thought you had to go to some type of aviation school or pilot school to fix planes or something. But nope, considering, hey, We have 3.6 million people incarcerated. Hey, let's send our products in there. Hey, let's let inmates have our credit card numbers, and they're already um in here for being a criminal. Hey, why should we trust Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections? Just go ahead and take the R out, because this is Ohio Department of Corrections. You are incarcerating people. You are outside of sentencing guidelines, because the greed is beyond me. 60 billion-dollar system, prison marginalizing. How dare you allow corporations to contract? Oh, let's not even talk about the Corrections Corporation of America, who has inmates on the New York Stock Exchange. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, I can just go buy stock in inmates. It is so much going on in corrupt United States of America, and who's paying for it? Every single one of us who work. What are you doing about the criminals? I don't want to come back out on the street and somebody has committed a crime or killed a family member or committed a heinous crime, and they get to go in prison and order Kenny Kings, that's show my age, KFC, or they get to go in prison and have pizza parties, and they get to go inside the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections and order streaming music and iPads and get to enjoy life. Now, do we even have a Department of Corrections? Is there anything to punish the criminals of the land, because everything is about money? God forbid. These people have taken people's lives, have broken in homes, have terrorized people. And the only thing that the Ohio Department of Corrections can think about is money, not the restitution of the people that these people have committed heinous crimes against. We have lost our minds. It is not, do I feel like they should be helped? Absolutely. There needs to be a system. It used to be, when the other dude was the governor, the dude over the Ohio Department of Corrections was Gary Moore. Gary Moore was essential in trying to bring faith-based programs and help people, but nope. Now we got the dude with the glasses. What is it? DeWine. Now DeWine is in here, and guess what DeWine is gonna do? Yeah, we see what he's doing. You're making more contracts with independent corporations to independently outsource prison labor. And now it's about prison labor and manufacturing and making corporations money. Damn it. If I'm the person that one of these people took my persons or anybody, God forbid, that was around me, and then just to think that I'll never get justice, I'll really never get the punishment. And like I said again, for the individuals, it's people in prison innocent. It's people in prison who did. Then who's talking about them? We're not talking about those prisons. We're talking about a corrupt system that is outsourcing prison labor and not even telling the citizens about it. At least tell somebody, hey, when you call in the Victoria's Secrets, that's an inmate. When you're riding on a plane from Boeing Industries, that's inmate made those parts. Am I discriminating against inmates who made those parts? No, I know plenty of people who went to prison and rehabilitated their life and who are doing great, exceptional, wonderful things in life right now, taking care of their family and doing all the things. They did the crime, they did the time, they came out and they abided by what was going on. But there is another remnant of people who are in prison, and their punishment is to go to prison and make corporations more money. Really? That's the punishment? Well, I don't think that that's appropriate punishment. I think we as citizens need to look more into the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. We need to investigate more what does central office do. We need to ask questions. When was the last time the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections was even audited? We need to investigate more how much tax dollars are being I want to say snuck. Is that a word? That they're sneaking out of our dollars to perform these things. We need to really investigate on who our leaders are, what they believe, and what they would like to do. Okay. And we just need another system. We need another system where the system doesn't always put the citizens who are living righteously on the bottom. We need to have a system where we feel that justice is taking place. And I'm not talking about justice before, like when there's corrupt crimes and we're saying no justice, no peace. No, we're not talking about that. We are talking about a system that is continuously using the disadvantages, the corruption, the crime, the prisoners to just gain more money. And what do we gain? What do the people gain who've lost a loved one or who was maimed or wounded in the process of a crime? The only thing that they had left was to think that that person would go to prison and that that person would have some type of remorse to reconcile and have a conviction in their heart for what they did to a person. And now the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction doesn't even have an accountability to the people who have committed crimes. So what type of system do we have? I understand that individuals are fighting to get their loved ones out who have been falsely accused. I understand that it's a problem in corruption with police officers, but there's also a problem with criminals who are coming up against police officers who are really trying to stop crime and do good things within the street, but we're not talking about them. We have to have some type of accountability in Ohio that when criminals do wrong, we don't defend the criminal. And I can say that from both sides. I've had people in my family that have been murdered. Yeah. And I have had people in my family who have murdered. So when I stand here and I talk about prison reform, when I talk about crime, injustice, it comes from standing on both sides. And the answer is still the same. The answer is still the same. Who wants to reside in a system where the people that are doing righteous never get to get justice? Where people have to fight through a court system that is backlogged for decades. Don't even be deceived. There are people who are still sitting in the Justice Center and they have been there 3 years. They haven't even seen a judge yet. That's how backlogged the system is. So, on Tuesdays, we do letters from the Deathgate because that's what's happening. The inmates they have already caused death or murder or crimes or whatever that got them in prison, excluding the innocent. I have to keep saying that because you'll run up my feed with saying how horrible I was to people um who are innocent, but I'm talking about guilty. I'm talking about it's not a $60 billion prison system because it's full of innocent people. People are committing crimes. It's a horrible prison system, and it is becoming about not punishing people, but about gaining revenue off of people. I am sorry if someone feels like, wow, she's on here saying people should be punished. Absolutely. Absolutely. Discipline is necessary. Absolutely, people should be punished for their crimes if they committed a crime. The issue is that we have a system that can't distinguish a crime because they're too backlogged. So to get the people out the system, you have a prison system with almost 3.6 million people in it that they won't release because they use them for labor for corporations. Then you have a system of people who haven't even been convicted. So you got a 2-bedroom prison system, 2 bunks. Now you got 7 people in one room. And then you got to not even think about when we talking about corona. I haven't even heard anybody talk about prison vaccinations. Did they go through the prisons and vaccinate the inmates before they released them? It's a debacle. It's a mess. Mike DeWine. You have your hands full in Ohio. You have your hands full in Ohio with the prison system. You have your hands full in Ohio with this kidnapping of girls that's on Kinsman, that they keep disappearing, and all these black girls are gone. And Mike DeWine, I don't hear you saying anything about that. Who the governors, when we think about the governors, the mayors, the city councilmen, who are these people that we keep putting in charge of us? If we don't see results, why are they there? But then you want us to come and vote Mike DeWine. Do you think you're going to make it in again? Some people might love you, Mike DeWine, because you said you told them to go take the mask off and they could go party and all of that. But under the layers, you have an onion that needs to be cut in layers and layered off because you are stinking up Ohio and you are stinking up this system. And when Gary Moore was there, he allowed people to come in, at least rehabilitate the system. If you look on my Instagram page, Our Stories, Our Time on Instagram, I posted inmates who are even trying to change the system from the inside out through writing books, through telling what's going on. That's called rehabilitation. Why are we not seeing more rehabilitation in Ohio? Why are we not doing more with the children of incarcerated parents? Why don't we have after school programs, even if it was via Zoom or anything? What are we doing with the conditions of the community? The community, besides greed and gaining money and revenue. And if you live in Cleveland, you only feel like you ever been under 2 people, Mike White and this dude, Jackson. Why do we keep having the same leaders and no results? It's called community. We have authority to speak out and be able to say what we desire in our community. Forget about the nation. I'm not telling you not to stay focused on nation problems, but right in your community. There are people being released from prison. Have they been rehabilitated? Do you want that person next door to you and they have the same mental mind state? If they are a rapist, do you want them coming out living next door to your daughters? If they are a thief, do you want them coming out? You come out in the morning, your car gone. You don't have a clue. And no one is talking about these certain types of situations. I have been working in prison reform for 25 years. And I believe people should be rehabilitated. But I also believe that if crimes were committed, rehabilitation does not mean release. Rehabilitation means that you have been set apart from society so you can get your brain together, or you're going to end up in there the rest of your life because you can't end up being a functional part of society. You cannot interact with other people without doing some criminal behavior against society. Now that's prison reform. By understanding the clinical issues that are in individuals' mind, and are they equipped enough to deal with society? And we have nowhere to put these people. These are facts. Please do your research. You do not have to listen to me. I'm just giving information. You do not have to take these things on as facts. But when we investigate on Wednesday's letters from the Deathgate, these are things that are essential. We need to listen to the inmates that are in the inside who are screaming out and telling us what's going on, like Justin Guyton did in the book Felon, the New Slur Word. Felon, the New Slur Word. You can check that book out on Smashwords. Felon, the New Slur Word. This was written from an inmate who is a criminal, who got out and still went out and did criminal behavior yet again, then was in prison and did criminal behavior. You think because the criminals go to prison that criminal behavior can't happen in prison? They're still assaulting the other people that they're in prisons with. They're still stealing, because you can do all these things in prison. There's still gangs, everything in there. In Ohio, if you would bring rehabilitation back, if you would let people, I understand what COVID happened, but if you would implement a streaming system where people from out here could talk to them that are on their way homes, if you could create any type of reentry program that would be viable and work, if you could create an educational system where you're in prison and you work for Lubrizol, because Lubrizol, y'all in the prisons too. If you could work for Lubrizol in prison, when you get out of prison, you don't get to work for Lubrizol. If you work for Lubrizol in prison, Victoria's Secret's in prison, if you work for Boeing in prison, if you work for all of these corporations who are now affiliated with prison marginalizing, when the inmate gets out, they don't get to go work for those people. They say we don't hire felons. It's just a system where you just keep making it worse. You keep making it worse. You keep going for the greed factor. For instead of $60 billion prison system, you want $100 billion prison system. And then they say it's gonna be so many people in prison, the free people gonna have to end up watching the incarcerated people. This these are articles, these are facts, this is information. It is 23 minutes. We close in 30. I just want to give you some key factors. One, investigate prison marginalizing. Corporations who are independently contracting out prison labor so they can make their products cheaper. Investigate Ohio. I should not say investigate. I should say research. Research Ohio prison industries, OPI. Ohio prison industries, where a lot of products are coming out of Ohio prison industries. Investigate correction corporate research if correction corporation of America. Look and see the prisons that are on the New York Stock Exchange, that now prison labor is becoming a commodity are people. And also investigate the inmate releases in Ohio. Investigate those inmate releases in Ohio and demand that there be anybody that come back in the community, that they have to be rehabilitated, that there has to be some type of verification, certificates, all types of sorts of things that can say that they renewed their mind when they was in prison. Because if they have not, they will come back out with the same felonious behavior. And lastly, that I want to talk about is for the young children. It is so many young children who have parents in prison. And your children might not know anything about these children, what they've seen, what they've dealt with. So when we think about bullying in school, when we think about sending our children back to school with other children who might have some mental illness challenges from the things that they have seen, whether it's domestic violence, whether they have been raised by drug dealers, whether they have been taken with parents to that steal and taking them to stores and making them steal. This is destructive behavior. It has to be a program within the schools that's beyond the counselor. The counselor don't have time to deal with this. God bless the counselors and the educators and the teachers. But the educators and the teachers don't have time to deal with these children. The parents are in prison. They don't have time to deal with these children. Grandmas is just trying to struggle through. Who is dealing with the mental care of children abandoned by parents, by their parents being incarcerated? Who is dealing with the mental condition of children abandoned by parents incarcerated? So when we think of bullying problems, we have to think about mental illness that has not been addressed in young children between the ages of 3 and 10 years old that have witnessed an onslaught of situations, and they are sent to school and labeled in school um, non-productive, bullies, non-attentive, and they're dealing with other children who are attentive and having fun and doing good in school. And it's a very frustrating situation for parents on both ends. And we could continue to ignore all of these issues. I mean, serious business. You could continue to go about your day and not even address this. But I'm telling you, you're not hearing about it, but it's seeping over. It's seeping, and it's going to continue to seep, and it's going to continue to get greater unless we address them and confront our organizers, our counts, which are our city councilmen, our mayors, our governors, for all the people who claim they have all these programs, all these rehabilitation programs. We need an audit. We need a state audit on all things rehabilitation. Anybody, because a lot of people might have just went and got that grant money, set up programs, and didn't help nobody. We need an audit on all things programs, education, prison, and mental health. Love, peace, blessing, respect. I appreciate those people who tune in for this information. You can contact me on Our Stories, Our Time at AOL or on all social media platforms. Love, peace, blessings, respect.